first question says, how can you effectively control birds and rodents on green mealies? The normal documents will teach you how to control pests, but will not shed light on controlling birds and rodents. Martin, if you can take that one. And this farmer actually shared a picture of his maize crop. I don't know if you can see the level of damage that they're facing.
Yeah, I can see. For the two pests that just been highlighted, the rodents can trouble us either as there are two stages of damage that we can suffer from rodents. Just as our crop images, we can actually have significant damage from rodents. Then a later stage, just like the bird damage, this can also happen to our crop. So there are a number of other products that can be done. At the early stage, just at crop germination, we can mix your carbofuran with a bit of mealie meal. They sort of trap around the edges of your fields, though the limitations will be in terms of the hectarage that can go with that. Then in terms of bird damage, as it were, birds still remain one of the critical challenges that we face, even for the winter cereals, as it were. So depending on the level of infestation within the area, the first thing is to sort of try and identify the roosting areas or resting places for these birds, and you can easily notify through our network of agriculture extension officers who take the issue a bit up. They are the only ones that are allowed to actually kill these birds should they become that much of a threat. And in the worst case scenario, that means bird scaring options are the way to go to protect our valuable green mealies through either mavuvuzela, nema decoys. In some extent, I think a lot of those decoys have been actually used. Some of those floating kites like that mimic birds to try and just scare those other birds from our fields. Those are some of the available options. The informal approaches that they've been used in the long run, where people would sort of identify some of the water drinking points for the birds, then poison those, but those are not recommended because that means everything that is also in the water is bound to be affected. And if incidentally you also have your livestock that might take part and parcel of drink that water, they might also be affected in the negativity. That's my response to that.
Thanks, Martin. Sure, for taking that one. Then the next one here is for Wendy. It says, I need you to know the best variety to grow for green mealies, one that has been tried and tested to give the farmer a better return on investment, provided he or she follows the good agronomic practices.
Thank you so much. So the SeedCo product basket is quite extensive. So we have varieties that are different in different maturity groups that speak well to green mealie production. But ultimately, if the time permits for you to establish your crop now and be able to sell, depending on your selling window, if you want the largest cob, the variety that gives the largest white grain cob would be SC727 for green mealies. Then if you also want, in terms of the yellows, the best yellow that we have would be SC608. But all the other varieties that we highlighted in the 600 series, your 659, your 555, 419, all of them will still sit well in terms of green mealie production because they produce sizable cobs. But it's now a matter of the farmer understanding the selling window at which they are targeting and whether or not they want white grain or yellow grain. But in terms of the largest cob of all the green mealies, it would be 727.
Right. Thanks, Wendy, for taking that one. And because of our time, I think we'll take the last question. And to our farmers, those who still have questions, we are sending a link so that you can join our WhatsApp group, and we will add the presenters there so that they can respond to your questions. I think this question is for you, Wendy. It says, please help. What may cause the inconsistent size in maize plant? In maize plants, I used a planter and applied the same amount of compound D.
Thank you so much for that. So the inconsistency might be, there are a number of things that can result in inconsistencies in terms of the outlook of the crop and ultimately the crop size, which start right from the preparation stage of the farmer in terms of the establishment. Was the land preparation of the field done to the best of the farmer's ability and to the best of what is recommended? Because in some instances, some farmers might come in with light disking where the land needs to, where there was need for them to do a bit of reaping or plowing because of a plow pen. Some farmers might fail to even break the clods in the field after doing the primary tillage, which might affect even the planting, the efficiency of the planter when they are planting. So some of the seeds might fall under a hard surface and fail to germinate well. Then the other thing that can also happen in terms of the planter, it's also the efficiency of the planter in terms of the depth that is being employed at planting. So there are a number of factors that come into play from the land preparation right through to the management that might have been employed in terms of the early stages of the crop establishment. And also it might differ in terms of the size when the crop grows, guided by the soil. If the pH is low, some areas might have lower growth, signs of stress, and some areas might be waterlogged. So in these conditions of high rain, there might be some variations in terms of the growth of the crop.
All right. Thanks, Wendy, for taking that one. So this marks the end.
Can I add something?
Yeah, sure. Please do, Martin.
Okay. I think just like Sister Wendy have already highlighted, good land preparation means you have broken any hard panes that might have developed into your fields. Then good land preparation also entails appropriate depth, at least 30 to 50 centimeters of the soil. That means up to 50, that's your reaping. The usual preparation should go at least 30 centimeters or so, and you have broken down the hard pane within your fields. Then appropriate soil conditioning is key. You might add a ton of fertilizer, but if your pH is all wrong, I mean that ton might not be readily available to the crop. So appropriate soil conditioning remains key. Then when it comes to herbicide application, the mechanical part of planting, that means placing your seed right, placing the, because you find that some of the planters are compromised. Either it's dropping the fertilizer on top of the seed as opposed to it being going, depending on the crop that you are doing. So all those things, the mechanical operations of your various equipment that you might have, that also have to be put in sync with what you want to achieve. Then more so, then when it comes to herbicide application, yes, you use the appropriate quality of water to deliver that herbicide. It's not all water that can be used to apply herbicide. Hard water, muddy water, they are off the list to use. So do the necessary thing. Then in certain instances, you might actually need to add a water or an adjuvant to go into the same tank mixer. That means for your efficiency to be realized in terms of the herbicide product that will be considering. Then the appropriate stage of just identifying the weed so that you control it, that will also have to be critically considered as it were. So it's a whole lot in when it comes to what inconsistencies can contribute towards the ineffective performance of your crop when you think you've provided everything else. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Martin, for that one. So this marks the end of our webinar.